And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the main card with your man, The Voice. As always, in the opposite corner, my mano y mano, my verbal sparring partner, Philly's finest, Will Just Ruffin. What's going on?
Voice, you already know what time it is. It's smoke o'clock, and it's impossible not to be excited for the special what we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give my man his introduction. The man, the myth, the legend, the man with his own t-shirt. He got the STL hat on today, but we already know what STL and the Cardinals are doing.
Same thing the Phillies doing. Nothing.
They're not doing what the Phillies are doing, which is hosting a playoff series. The Voice.
Series or series?
Serious, sir.
They seriously.
Serious, sir. I speak how I speak, big dog. I don't be out here outing you when you be out here calling like there is no tomorrow. So I don't want to hear it, man.
Hey,
how you feeling, boss?
I'm feeling froggy now. That's how I'm feeling. I'm ready to go.
I see that, and that's perfect. And I hope that you froggy because we got some amazing things to cover, man. You already know UFC 307. We're going to get into it. Kayla Harris is back. But first, we're going to get into these KOs and low blows. Voice, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get to it. Voice, we're going from the ring to the court. Devin Haney has sued Ryan Garcia for battery, fraud, and unjust enrichment. And this is all stemming from their April 20th bout. And this is 5 months after Ryan Garcia was actually fined $1 million and suspended for a year. Now, there's been a lot of people having a lot of thoughts on this, Voice. Tim Bradley has gone on record to say that Devin Haney creating this lawsuit is literally making his image worse. And some people just saying that this is him trying to do damage control for being knocked out. What are your thoughts on this, Voice?
Like you said, there are a number of different thoughts regarding this. One of Timothy Bradley's colleagues, who I like to listen to, he said that he likes it. He likes the fact, and the colleague that said this, that he likes the fact that this is happening because it should deter more people from trying to cheat because they see all the other stuff that comes with it. That's their thought, though. That's not my thought. I thought about the fight between Margarito and Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto had blood coming out of his ears. It was running out of his ears, which meant that there had to be something going on in his head that wasn't right. Why was that? Because he was literally being beaten with cast. Did Cotto sue Margarito? No. They fought again, and he beat the snot out of him. That's how you do things. This lawsuit, which I get to an extent, because Haney's upset that he can't really get any money fights anymore. Ever since this has happened, it has messed up his ability to make money. So I get that. But the question is this: what fight out there is bigger for Devin Haney than facing off against Ryan Garcia when he comes back? And the answer to that is none. So unless you're concerned that he's going to do the same thing again, not being overweight, not being on drugs, this really does not help your case. I know his father is there with him, but I don't know what other advisors he has speaking to him. I know things are contentious between he and Eddie Hearn right now, but he needs someone around him to help him with the optics of this. It does not look good for a fighter to sue somebody for a fight that took place in the ring. Now, if he was suing Eddie or Golden Boy, which he is suing Golden Boy too, But if it was just, those parties for maybe colluding against him or a bad contract, that's a different situation, because though Oscar will get in the ring with you, Eddie's not. So, you can't just get in there and duke it out and settle it like men. It's not a good look. It is not a good look.
So, Voice, best case scenario, how does this turn out for Devin, and what can he do next to re-solidify himself as one of the kings, as they call him?
The only way for him to re-solidify himself is to beat another king. Outside of that, there's no win. Even if he wins the decision in the courts and he makes millions upon millions of dollars, his reputation is badly tarnished. Again, the only way to restore or to because there may not be any restoration, but the only way to get people to have faith in him and want to see him again is for him to knock off somebody and show that was indeed a fluke. Well,
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Ryan Garcia, of course, he can't fight for that entire year. Not sure if that's a fight that people still want to see, a return fight for those two. Well, I think the world does. I mean, if not, Voice, he can always go the Tyson route and head over to TKO. There's UFC, there's WWE. Those are all available to him too. So maybe just kind of.
You think that he would have any chance? Well, wrestling, okay, but MMA, please.
Well, I don't know if he's gonna have a chance in wrestling either. So let's not do that. But that's neither here nor there. We'll definitely keep an eye out for more news on that, and we'll be sure to share that in KOs and low blows. You already know what the Voice feels, so we'll see what happens.
All right. I see what you were trying to transition into the world of pro wrestling, bringing up TKO, because there's no way that Devin Haney is doing anything else. He ain't even doing karate combat. He's not doing slap fighting. Ain't doing none of that. Anyway, it is time for Wildress's ring walk, and this week it's all about the upcoming PLE in Bad Street, USA. Salute to the Freebirds. Atlanta, GA. There in Atlanta, you have the most unlikely duo in OTC, and that's not over the counter, but the original Tribal Chief and the American Nightmare taking on the new Tribal Chief and the new Samoan Phenomenon in Jacob Fatu. We've discussed some things about this card before and about this matchup in particular. My question to you is, what should the fans expect in this matchup?
Chaos. Bad Blood is a card that's literally a card that is built to a lot of times end feuds or dig deeper going into one of the biggest cards of the year, which is Survivor Series in November. Seeing Roman come back has been tremendous. I mean, the crowd has been behind him. If you're, an old school wrestling fan, you can say he's a babyface now. So now seeing these two go head to head, and then their standoff at Georgia State a few weeks ago, which has gotten rave reviews, is going to be exciting. It's going to be probably surprising. I can guarantee there's probably going to be one or two surprises that are probably going to happen. And I'm also hearing that there's a big return that's scheduled to take place also during the main event, which is going to have huge title implications based off of Cody Rhodes being on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week. So it's going to be huge. And then we finally get to see Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns go at it head to head. I'm not really sure how much of that we're going to see, if we see much, because I feel like they're holding that out for a major pay-per-view in the future, maybe even Crown Jewel. But I mean, this is going to be huge, and it's not even the only match up on there, because this potentially may not even be the main event. There's still a chance that Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk and Hell in a Cell could be the main event still for this, because of the payoff for that, and because these two literally come off as if they hate each other.
Okay, that's
Now,
my question. So I'm sorry, let me cut you off, because that's my question about this. How much of the Punk McIntyre stick is kayfabe versus there being some reality to it, such as Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels back in the day when the Montreal Screwjob happened? Like, they didn't like each other at all, which is why Bret didn't want to give up the title to Shawn.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that one got pretty personal, and that was because Shawn Michaels were making some really, really bad comments about Bret in his personal life. In this situation, I don't see it as art imitating life as much, because these two actually, if I'm not mistaken, were friends in the past. This isn't like CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, which they really do have bad blood with one another. But when CM Punk came back, there were a lot of the top guys, including Drew McIntyre, who he actually spoke to in the beginning, just so that they can make sure a lot of that was cleared up when they come back. So like you said, you do see a lot of art imitating life in these, but I don't think that this is a situation where art imitates life. I just think it's two of the top stars in professional wrestling today, giving us knockout after knockout after knockout. I'm almost sad that it's ending, but at the same token, I'm excited to see exactly what's gonna come up next. Punk was actually in NXT on Tuesday night, and he was the special guest referee in Chicago. It was NXT on CW, their first night. He was actually there refereeing that match right before this. So it's gonna be it's a great week for professional wrestling. But if this match was the main event, I would not be mad. I wouldn't even be mad if it was the opener.
Okay, one-ish last question really quickly.
Okay.
One, who can we expect to be the surprise in the tag match, the Bloodline tag match at Bad Blood, which I thought was really nice? And then also, if Punk loses, because he's been doing a lot with NXT, does he just stop wrestling and become full-time with NXT?
No. Okay, so answering that one first, no. I don't see that happening. That probably won't happen for another 5 to 10 years, if that. Shawn Michaels actually recently was on record as saying, because of CM Punk's love for working with NXT talent, in 5 to 10 years, when he decides to, call it quits, he would love to transition Punk into that role. Right now, CM Punk has already stated that he is feeling the best he's ever felt, even though he's been injured. He's provided great promos. He provided great matches since he's come back. I think we're going to have a long run with Punk for the time being while he's here. I don't think it's going to be quick and then he's going to be out. Now, regarding the Bloodline match, it's hard to say because there could be a number of people. I mean, there's Jimmy Uso. There's Hakaleu, who's coming from New Japan Pro Wrestling, who recently signed in July. It could be Brock Lesnar. We could see a number of individuals come back. And when you have a match like that with those 4 individuals, but mainly Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, and Solo Sikoa, they left a lot of bodies behind during this Bloodline program that a lot of people may still want responses for. So it'll be interesting to see who it is. But I think Bad Blood is going to be awesome. I think the people in Atlanta are going to be in for an amazing card. That start time is actually going to be earlier than normal start time. That's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in.
Check 1, 2. There we are. Had to add a little effect in it, for drama, because I'm all about the drama. Anyway, on the next side, after the Ozell break, we're gonna dive into UFC 307. Talk a little boxing in the final fights. Keep it locked. is the main card.
It's not just about the love of the game. It's about dedication and commitment through the process and the patience to endure. There's joy in reaching your goals and peace in knowing you've done all you're supposed to do. Ozell brand. It's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
Let's go. Shout out to the Ozell brand, man. Make sure you all are getting your cleats in, getting all your needs in for the little ones, man. Make sure you get your Bruce voice Roy's in that royal blue so that you can be up on there. Voice. It's time. And there's a familiar face here as we prepare for UFC 307. Alex Pereira is back. And this time, the Brazilian powerhouse is looking to step into the octagon for his third title fight of the year, voice. Now, Pereira has already left almost a trail of destruction. He's knocked out the likes of Yuri Prokaza and Jamal Hill. And now, standing in his way, it's kind of a shock to many. Khalil Roundtree Jr., a.k.a. the Warhorse. Now, the Warhorse is riding, voice, on a 5-fight win streak, with 4 of those victories actually coming by way of knockout. Now, the streak is even more impressive when you consider it that it's following a rough patch where he actually lost 3 out of 4 in that time period. But, voice, Roundtree is standing in the way of history. Now, if Pereira manages to knock out Warhorse in Salt Lake City, he'll be breaking Ronda Rousey's record for the shortest time between 3 world title defenses by a full 2 weeks. Now, as we talked about before, the matchup caught a lot of people by surprise, boys. A lot of people were actually expecting Pereira to defend his title against Magomed, but Pereira, he kind of made it clear why he felt like that fight is not happening, citing that Ankalaev has a boring style as the reason. As Alex put it, honestly, it's not my fault that he has such a boring style of fighting that nobody wants to watch. That guy does not want to put him in, referring to Dana. Even his manager, the super renowned guy who's famous in the MMA world, goes and says, "Oh, this guy's not going to fight. Go talk to Dana White." But Dana White does not want to make that matchup. Pereira did not hold back, voice. He then goes on and he says, the fact that he's not fighting for the title was a joke. It was clown stuff. So now the UFC is mad. Why? Because the UFC and Dana White and the guys that decide, so they're a joke, they're a clown, they're a circus. So if you got to sort that out with the organization. He's referring to the manager's comments when he said, listen, I don't understand why my fighter is not fighting. Now, voice, there's a lot going on here, and I don't want to treat Roundtree as a afterthought, so to speak, because even though no one is really giving him much of a chance to win. But I want to get your thoughts in the 2-part question. I'm going to ask you the first question here, voice. What are your thoughts on Roundtree actually getting this fight, and does he have a chance to get that upset?
As far as him getting the fight, Alex is 100% accurate in saying that the reason Khalil Roundtree is facing off against him is because Magomed Ankalaev is a boring fighter. He's going to have to either beat a lot of people and or start winning very impressively. Not that he hasn't, because he's got a knockout or so in there recently, but it left a really bad taste in the UFC's mouth when they kind of dodged a bullet when he faced off against the former champion and just laid an egg. So that's what's going on as far as Roundtree being there. Pereira is right. This is the reason why. Now, as far as his chances are concerned, everyone has a chance, especially when you have knockout power like Roundtree does. What's really concerning about this fight for me is that you said it at the outset. Alex has fought A lot of times you say this will be his third championship fight this year. This will be his fourth fight in a 12-month period. That's a lot of fighting. And I get it. You're a kickboxer. This is what you do. This is what kickboxers do. The last kickboxer who tried to defend their title a lot wound up losing, and really now seems like they're on the downside, being Israel Adesanya. We saw this happen with Cowboy Cerrone's career forever. It was like, dude, just stop. Don't fight. Wait a minute. You'll fight for the title. He'll mess around getting there with somebody, and they wind up beating him. So from that perspective, this is a really dangerous fight for Alex. And I don't know what happens in or outside of training camp usually, but that young lady who took to social media and tried to besmirch his name, saying that he did certain things, how does that kind of weigh on you? You know, what kind of effect does that have? Where Khalil, he feels like he's destined to do this. Back in 2015, when he had only a couple of fights, the GOAT, my GOAT at least, Anderson Silva, said, man, you're going to be a champion one day. He says that Khalil knocked him out in sparring, but he was like, dude, you got it. You're going to be that. And he feels as if this is the time for him. He's talked about how he needs to make something of himself. He said this in interview after interview coming up. He's got to make something of himself so he can have a platform to really talk about the things that he wants to talk about. This is his opportunity to do just that.
I mean, those are definitely great points. Now, I mean, Voice, one thing I have to ask, we talked about how many bouts he's had in the past, maybe, 12 months or so. But Voice, this speaks to the importance that he has to the UFC, doesn't it? Like, I mean, it seems like he's like the cleanup batter whenever the UFC needs a hit or a main eventer. How important is Alex Pereira to the UFC?
Oh, he has been their saving grace over the past year because he's been their most bankable commodity. When they need a big name in a fight, Alex is the man. And again, he's the man on this card. Yes, you do have two title fights on the card. We're going to talk about the other title fight in just a moment. But without Alex in there, ain't nobody looking for this fight card.
Well, there you have it. We're definitely going to be looking forward to it. Roundtree Jr. has KO'd 4 of his last 5 fights, but is one thing you have to mention, he has not fought in the octagon since 2023. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see. Make sure that you tune in, but it's not the only main event, Voice. Raquel Pennington is going to be defending her bantamweight title against Julianna Pena in what promises to be an epic showdown between two former castmates. Now, Pennington, of course, who comes in with a record of 16-9 and 13-5 in the UFC, believes that Pena's decision to not arrive in Utah just a week before the fight is going to be the costly mistake that cost her the chance of winning. She goes on to state that just being born and raised in the altitude, I would say that's a mistake. She emphasized that the altitude is no joke and it can significantly affect performance, especially when pushing your body to the limit. Now, when you ask Pena, on the other hand, she's confident that arriving a full week of the fight is sufficient. She stated, "We're leaving Monday." She's fought in high altitude locations like Utah and Denver before, and she said that she actually believes that if you're in shape, you're in shape. She said, "I'll have the whole week to acclimate and I'll get the work done and I'll get the job done. That's the confidence that I have." Now, it's particularly intriguing, Voice, like I said before, is it pits these two former season 18 Ultimate Fighter castmates against each other for the first time. And Pena also gave her flowers, acknowledging Pennington's strength, noting that her physical strength and her technical skills are her strengths, but she's confident in her own abilities. And she stated whether the fight stays on the feet or goes to the ground or ends in submission, or decision, who's going to come out on top? I will. So, Voice, the trash talking between these two former castmates and what I found to be they were actually roommates also at one point is pretty big here in this co-main event. Who's right here, Voice? And should Pena really be this confident coming into this bout?
Well, Pena has talked about how she's fought not just at altitude, but in Utah before. And the last time she did it, she was coming in off the couch, could not make weight. They wound up giving up some of the purse because she couldn't make weight because it was so close to it. And this was like coming in like either 147 or 157. So it was much, much higher than the weight that she's fighting at right now. But she fought, she went to a decision, and that was her first loss. But she said, look, I know what it's like to fight here. And actually, because of that, I got some get back that I need for the city of Salt Lake. Like, I need to redeem myself by winning. So she feels confident, and it's not like people haven't fought at altitude before and won. Now, granted, Pennington does have a greater advantage because she lives and trains in Colorado. So she's always at altitude, and that helps her as far as her cardio is concerned, where Pena lives and trains in Chicago. Bottom line is, it really depends on how the fight goes. If Pena does what she did against Amanda and just comes in and steamrolls her, who cares about the altitude? Who cares about the time? Round of 2 and it's a done deal. Now, if it falls into Pennington's wheelhouse, which is a grinding affair, being at altitude, again, training at and living at altitude, that should give her the advantage. But really, those things, they factor in, but what factors in most is the heart. And I know that both of these fighters have a lot of heart. They don't necessarily care for each other. There may be a mutual respect, but to say that they like each other, you can't say that. Are they going to get together and have a celebratory meal with their families later? Probably not. But again, the heart is what is going to matter most. Both women have it. Whose heart matched with their skill and their determination is going to be successful.
Man, it's definitely going to be an awesome fight because they're both coming in confident. Pena's coming in confident, but Pennington is coming in as the winner of her last 6. So it's going to be a great bout. This is actually only breaking the iceberg of an amazing card, because now we have the Voices marquee matchup. This week's Voices marquee matchup sees Kayla Harrison in the octagon after Kayla has made some incendiary comments stating she could beat her opponent, Pennington, and Pena in the same night. Voice, give us a breakdown on why this is your Voices marquee matchup.
This is the Voices marquee matchup because really it's because of the co-main event. Pena said in the press conference, like, look, for Rocky to be preparing for both fighters, I can't be mad at because I get hurt a lot. So, her preparing for Kayla and preparing for me, I get it. She made a mistake because I'm here and I'm going to be there, but I get it. That's why this is the Voices marquee matchup. It's because if, and it's a big if Kayla Harrison can get past Ketlin Vieira, then she's next up for the title. She came into the UFC from PFL, said she felt like she hit her ceiling there. I disagree. I think she should have rematched Pacheco, who she is picking to beat Cyborg in their bout later on this month. But rematching Pacheco, getting that one back, okay, then you can go on because you've done everything. So, but she's in the UFC now. And part of me gets it because if I'm not mistaken, she's beaten Pacheco before. But this is a different Pacheco. Anyway, she's in the UFC for a reason. She's in the UFC to fight for a title. Her whole career, we were talking about Pena before, fighting at possibly 157 or 145. Her whole career had been at 155 because she believes in being body positive. She's now cut down to 135 and fighting much lower than she had before. Why? For the opportunity to be a UFC champion. To do that, she's got to get past Ketlin Phenomeno Vieira, someone who was right on the cusp of fighting for a title before she got hurt. And then when she came back, she just needs to get one more in, and she's fighting for the title. She got another one in, and it did not go her way. And since then, she's been kind of relegated to this status. Now, granted, with a win over Harrison, can she then fight for the title? Absolutely, she can. But that's why this is the Voice of Marquee matchup. It's because there's so much on the line for this fight card between Ketlin Vieira and Kayla Harrison on the main card.
Oh, wow. Well, there you have it. Nobody set you up for the Voices Marquee matchup like The Voice. It's going to be an amazing, amazing card, as we've seen from top to bottom. Make sure that you're following The Voice on social media. He's going to be giving you that breakdown, let you know who he has winning each rounds, and giving you some spicy takes while we're at it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we let you go, we're going to give you some final fights to look into going into this weekend. Boys, give us your final fights, boss.
All right. This weekend, there are so many fights, you just can't name them all. You got Janibek, who's back in action, putting his 160-pound title on the line. Then on this card alone, it's so many people I couldn't make the slides. It was just too many people. Jose Aldo is fighting on this card. You got former champion Carla Esparza in her swan song. This is her retirement fight, taking on Tisha Pennington, which this will be the second time in the history of the UFC that spouses have fought on the same card. So many fighters and so many fights on this card. You just can't name them all, but there is one fight that I did have to spotlight, which is this fight right here. Why? Because you got the former man known as Wolverine, now New Mansa, the viral sensation in Joaquin Buckley, taking on probably his most challenging opponent to date in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy is preparing for Buckley to try to take it to the ground. We know that Buckley has stand-up skills. He's got the traditional martial arts in his bag too. So definitely looking forward to all that's going on. And the Janibek fight isn't the only boxing match that's going on. You also have Ball versus Rios. The reason why this fight is important is because it's at featherweight. You know who fights at featherweight? Or who is at least knocking on the door of featherweight, I should say, in a way. And the winner of this bout, specifically if it's Ball, could be up next for the Monster.
Oh, wow. Well, there you have it. Monster's back in action soon enough. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for again tuning in to the main card each and every week at Smoke O'Clock. We like to provide you the best in combat sports just to get you prepared. MTMV Sports, if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We give you everything that you need, from basketball to football. You got Not the Same Podcast, HBCU, like everything that you want is here. And you can take us everywhere you want, because if not only subscribe to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe on all your favorite podcasts, because we're there also. Thank you for tuning in with us another week. It's your man Wildress, my partner here, The Voice. Voice, take us out.
Till next time, fight the good fight.